This is episode 99 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Chris, definitely won't be singing, Brown.
Is episode 99? Like, I missed the exciting one by one. Man.
You know, here's the thing, right? My co-hosts abandoned me in my hour of need. No Will, no Marcel. Marcel has an excused absence. He gave me a note. So the Ewok's okay, but my Wookiee's missing. So I'm going to have to make posters here pretty soon because I'm worried about my Wookiee. But hopefully he's okay. I'm assuming he's busy working or having computer trouble or all of the above. It could be anything. But anyway, so today we know when Wave 3 is dropping, if you haven't heard. We're also going to talk about the Top 50 Invitational and the Crate Cup and the Community Rules Committee that Mr. Chico Brown is on. But before we go too far, I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons. You guys are the ones that make Gold Squadron happen. And thank you to everybody who's taken the time to switch over. And if you're a patron and you haven't done it yet, because maybe you're just like, I'm lazy, I don't want to sign into my thing and click 2 buttons. If you're that person, which exists, I totally understand. I've been there. It's actually not late, not too late. You have up until the 15th, essentially, to get it done, and it will post-charge you for what you hadn't updated yet, and I can get the swag out to you. That's the date. I should have those PO cards in hand. We're going to start printing out those envelopes and get those things out, all the things. I got the other cards. They're actually everything, all the other stuff is right here. The only thing I don't have is those plastic POs, which are in the mail. But before we go too far, let's say thank you to all of our new patrons since last week, which has been, there was a flood of people, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I have switched to just first names because I kept bumbling over all the names, and each of you patrons are getting little thank you notes from me anyway. So here we go. Thank you to Javier, Jackson, Allen, Ernest, Scott, Lance, Jared, Steve, Austin, Andrew, Travis, Mr. Darrell, that is in the first name box, by the way, Mr. Darrell, Samuel, Sean, Drav, Carl, Nathan, Michael, Allen, Joshua, Oscar, Michael with A-L, not a A-E-L, by the way, Hugo, Ryan, Scotty, Kyle, Matthew, Tony, Daniel, Andrew, Jason, and Adam. Y'all are absolutely fantastic, and I'm super excited to get that swag in your hand and continue making awesome content for you. But let's get into our first topic here. Chico, Wave 3, we have a release date. When is that?
March 21st. I'm excited.
It's around the corner, man. It's like right there. Yeah.
It might actually be at Adepticon.
So here's kind of a crazy thought. And I'm impressed by FFG in the sense that they planned this like alternate art paint thing that's going to be for the Vulture Droid at Adepticon, and they're subsequently doing that with the release of Wave 3, like having all that coordinated. I'm impressed. I didn't think they'd be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah, I have been very impressed with the fact that they've been saying we're going to get this out in this quarter, and for the most part, it's been happening. Right. So, like, one of my locals asked me, like, "Hey, do you really think they're going to make Q2 for Wave 4?" And I'm like, "Well, yep, I kind of do."
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Now, there's a couple things we do need to note about it is that this wave will not be legal for Adepticon, if I'm not mistaken.
It won't be legal for the System Open tournament. We still don't know the hyperspace qualifier. Ooh. If they'll allow it there. And then hangar bays. I imagine they'll do hangar bays because frankly they say you 8 people do whatever you want.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So bring your Wave 3 to Adepticon. Let's play some hangar bays and stuff. I'm gonna have my camera there when we're not doing the main event. Let's see if we can get some of that on camera. And don't miss on March 20th, there's a pretty good chance that's on the Wednesday before the release. Pretty good chance I'm going to be able to get my hands on some pre-release copies of the Wave 3 things and have that on stream for you guys during our league night. So don't miss that. And so here's one thing I do want to talk about with that exclusive paint job. Do you think the fact that people are going to have Wave 3 in their hands will kind of soften the blow if they can't get their hands on that alternate paint job?
That is not something I considered. The idea of that ship showing up before the rest of the wave. I mean, of course there'd be people, super excited to get that. We see that every year with Gen Con. There's always something releasing early at Gen Con and people lose their minds trying to get a hold of it. So I could definitely see that. But it seems like there's a lot of people that are bonkers excited over that paint job. I can just take one of the ones I have, throw it at Luke, and be like, make that paint job, but good, and he'll do it for me. Or he'd probably just say, do it yourself. You've gotten good enough. But
you're not wrong. And speaking of Luke, he's been doing an absolutely fantastic job on the Gold Squadron paint cast. If you haven't been catching what's going on there, you're missing out. He's making some amazing prize support for Gold Squadron. He's currently working on a Shadowcaster that's on fire. Has this like he used green stuff, but there's a word for it.
Yeah.
Like sculpted fire on it, and then he's also working on a ghost that has the Sheathipede and the attack shuttle can both dock in and out of it. Like, it's some pretty awesome stuff, and that's going to be some major prize support that we're going to be having here for some of our live streams and stuff. But super excited about that, and we have on order for the paint cast one of every ship in Wave 3, so we're going to be doing repaints of everything in the wave and making some really awesome price support for you guys. So super excited about that. Now, let's go ahead and get to the next topic. We have the top 50 and Crate Cup roundup here. It goes with your shirt that you got on there, Chico.
Yeah.
Rocking that Crate Skull. Now, so I want to give a shout out to Chris Allen and Tim Hilton for running an absolutely awesome event. The team day that was on Saturday, it did go a little bit longer than expected, but with the amount of people that were there and excited about it, honestly, I'm surprised it went as smooth as it did. People had a fantastic time. And
there was something like 41 teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. People were kind of comparing it to the Steel Open that is no longer a thing, but maybe this is a new community event that's really going to start growing in popularity.
Yeah, if it gets any bigger, they're going to have to get some sort of other venue. That building looked like it was pretty packed.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I know me personally, what I kind of envision. Here. Check me out, Chico. Check this out. So you got the West Coast. You got Minot open. You got the East Coast. You got Crate Cup. And in the center, Gold Squadron Classic.
Oh, Gold Squadron Classic. We got Crossroads Classic, right. and Coach keeps saying he's going to jump on and do something. We'll see how that goes. But
OCX Extreme Wing Competition, something crazy. He'll come up with some crazy name. I know it won't be simple.
He already has a name.
Oh,
and the initials of it spell out OCX on top.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Alrighty. And I also want to say thank you to our fill-in casters. So on Friday during the Top 50 Invitational, I was playing in it. I made the Top 50 list and was trying to capture my glory. I did end up in 9th place out of the people who were there, so I was super pumped about that. I want to say thank you to Nami and Jeremy of the Carolina Crates, who had the most wholesome cast since their days on the Kessel Run. If you're not familiar with their Kessel Run days, that's when they were super wholesome.
Yeah, they were. That was an interesting cast. It wasn't my favorite, but they were more entertaining than I think they've gotten to on where they are now. It is just a different world.
Oh yeah, big time. So just want to say thank you to them. Them going back in their roots and staying super wholesome. I really appreciated it, because if they had crated it up, I'm pretty sure there would have been a bit of an uproar. But they kept it classy. So
well, and I think that's a piece that people don't get to see of you is when you get on the other side of the camera and somebody else gets in front of the mic.
Yeah.
You have this terrified look on your face that something's about to explode.
You're not wrong.
And it always manages to come together. We all manage to turn off that piece of us that goes a little crazy. I mean, I have to put myself in dad mode when I come on here, and instead of like OCX mode. Right. But we managed to do it. We do you right.
As for the top 50 invitational, both Will and I did fly the same list. We had Naked Luke, Naked Wedge, and Lando with just 9 nub. And I personally absolutely love the list. The top 50 invitational was hyperspace with the updated Upsilon points. So no triple Upsilons were present in that top 50. In my pod, so the way the top 50 invitational worked is that they took pods of 4 people and you play against each other, and then the people that have gone undefeated in their pod move on to the cut. And there was 2 people also who would end up making the cut who had 1 loss. I was 2 points away from that. My only loss was to Duncan Howard, and that was barely, Duncan. I'm going to get you next time. Oh, that Duncan Howard. I also played against Matt Erb, which was caught on stream. I was kind of really surprised that Nami and Jeremy were like, "Oh, do you don't play on stream?" I was like, "I play on stream all the time." You're like, "Yeah, but you're playing during league night, not during like a competition." I'm like, "All right, cool, I'll play." And won that one, even though towards the end, Chris, I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if you were busy, but basically I had the game won, and all I had to do was just disengage for maybe 2 turns, and I would have won the game. But I decided to play the game and K-turn. And,
that's rough.
And then got half points on my ship when I shouldn't have, and won on the last roll where I barely kill Gideon. It was hilarious.
That's crazy.
Give me some gunboats in the chat if you were there. Were you there? And
I wasn't.
I know you. Sad. And then I also played against Josh Dunn, the cup creator, the crate cup creator. You know what he does? He did these cups. Where's mine? It's somewhere on my shelf here. World's greatest dad.
Yeah, that is an excellent mug. Like even not just the stuff written on it. It's a well-made, like great color scheme. I just like that mug. It's a solid mug.
So thank you to him. It was a great game. I did win that game. He was playing a Thai SF Swarm, and we talked about it later. And his approach. Basically, his approach to the game is what really hurt him, and I was able to take advantage of it. But really scary list. He had 4 generic Thai SFs without any gunner, and then backdraft. There's just a lot of beef there. I was able to basically range control the whole time. He was basically just flying away and saying, "Hey, chase me." But I had it so that I could basically take Luke in range 3. He would take like a shot and not take any damage because he's Luke, and then just start plinking off SFs. It was a very long game, but did what I had to do. And this is where Will would talk about his performance. Crickets. Sorry, listeners. But here we go. Let's get into the reason, one of the many reasons why I had Chico here today. This community rules committee. I saw this post on Facebook. I was like, all right, Chris, what is this about? Why? What? Who? When? Where? All the things. Give me the lowdown. What's happening?
Yeah, so we just announced this today, and we've been working on it for about a week now, actually putting together the real meat of what's going on. But essentially, there's a group of us judges that kind of started with me, Ian Hamp, and Brent Wong, that we just talked about rules things because we judged at Worlds 2017, I think, together. And we just kind of stuck it out together, and we created a little Facebook group that we jokingly called the TO Illuminati, you know, just messing with people. But so we had that going for a while, and we've kind of worked together to create documents that would be used at like system opens and stuff like that. And we want this to become an even bigger thing and get brought out to the people and hopefully be accepted and bridge the gap of what FFG has, because they have the rules reference and the FAQ and the their forum like listing thing that nobody can seem to find. But so there are still these some rulings that are a little vague, and there are corner cases, infinite corner cases that people have to deal with.
Oh yeah.
And like I get questions about them like on a daily basis, and we're always trying to deal with them and figure them out for whatever big event is coming up next. So anyways, we got together and decided we need to make this bigger, bring in some more people, because we've kind of run into this place where with only a few people, and you're trying to tell everybody, hey, we should play this way, and it's like, why should we listen to you few people? Right. Because like the community's huge and it's all over the place. So 3 people from the United States we're not going to be able to dictate how everybody plays. I mean, nobody's going to listen to us, no matter how many events we're judging that they'll be at. Right. So we've brought in more people. And we tried to pull people from different geographic locations and bring in like everybody's got a little bit of judge experience. At least we got some podcasters in who have done some judging. We got some people from Australia, Europe, and part of this is we wanted to be open and clear of who's on this, so that people can go, oh, these are people who know what they're talking about. So I'll give you a quick rundown of who's on it. So it's Ian Hamp, myself, and Brent Wong. That was our core 3 to begin with. We've got D-Yoon of Minok, Michael Juras, one of your locals, and he's judged every level of competition with. He's done Gen Con a few years, System Opens, really great judge. Vince Kingston from over in Europe, he helps run those big, giant, massive tournaments that they do. Mm-hmm. Kyle Kemble, who's in Seattle, I believe. He runs their System Open and a bunch of stuff out there. Chris Sheriff, our guy up in Canada, and he's with Lack of Focus podcast. Zach Bart helps out with Crossroad Classic. And their regional down there did a whole bunch of rules stuff with them, and me and him bounce rules questions off each other constantly. Tim Horsberg, I believe he's one of the Europeans. Let me double check. Nope, he's an Australian. So he's one of the guys in Australia. I contacted Mark Ventham. He's also on here. And got a few names from them. So Mark Ventham, Nick Ware, and Tim Horsberg. We're gonna go with that. Those guys have been doing basically the same thing in Australia, and they've gotten Australia pretty much united. That all of their big events kind of go under the same umbrella. So they're actually coming and helping us ramp this up and hopefully make it worldwide. Nice. So then, where did I leave off? Joel. Joel Killingsworth from the Birmingham Barons. He helped judge over in PAX East, I believe. I think that's where he did some judging, and listening to their podcast, I thought he had a good understanding of how to discuss and debate rules. So brought him on, and a little unfortunate for the next one, but I feel it's necessary. We do have Chris Allen on the group.
You know what though? He is perfect for something like this, because he is the one that will ask he was the first one that I remember stating, "Are you in your own arc?"
Right.
Right. It's just like,
And that's where
who thinks of stuff like that?
right, and that's where, you know, Frank looked at him and went, "Why?" Yeah, he's always coming up with these crazy corner cases, and not just coming up with the corner cases, but then he'll discuss them, and, you know, try to figure out, okay, what really is the best answer here, and, you know, how do we move forward with this possibly being a real thing.
Right.
And Chris Allen, when he turns off his crate mode and turns into, okay, we need to get work done, Chris Allen,
he's fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're like, you can't stop him. And he's done judging for Nova and obviously Crate Cup, so he's got good experience with trying to figure out rules and get them out to the people. And so we're excited to have him on. And then I think the only other one I haven't mentioned is Chris Mitchell, and he's another one of the guys from over in Europe. So we've got a decent group of guys there. I wanted to keep it between like 10 and 20 people, so enough that we have a good number of opinions from different areas, but not so many that we can't get anything done because we're just arguing with each other.
Right. So what's the ultimate, like, what's the goal that this group has?
Right. So the first thing that we're hoping to do is just have a document that we can have used at system opens, because Ian Hamp has his document right now, and we're working on expanding that, making it bigger, evaluating some of the stuff he had in there. I know there's some controversial rules he had to throw in there, and that were, you know, holy cow, we have this crazy thing that came up. We've got less than a week to figure it out. Let's just come up with something and do it at Phoenix. And he did a great job coming up with rulings, getting it out to the people, whether they agreed with it or not. Yep. And having something for everybody to work with. So we're going to evaluate those, and we're kind of using that document as a starting place. And we're going to think through some of the stuff that was on there and add to it. We're doing everything from floor rules to just vague wordings that need to be cleared up, to, you know, some really corner case interactions, and we're hoping to like kind of do like a trickle down effect of hooray, system opens are using this now. Let's get some hyperspace trials using it, and hopefully as it goes out to more and more people, and, you know, hopefully it's a good enough and well thought out document that other people start using it, and it becomes something good, instead of having us all argue when we go to events of, oh, how are we going to deal with this? Because, like, I have Ohio hyperspace this weekend, and I have no idea how they're ruling on a dozen or more questions. Right. And I haven't gotten any answer from them, and I've been trying to figure it out. So hopefully we can get this going, and people will just be like, oh, they're probably just using this. Hooray, great. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're hoping it'll end up.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a couple questions here, just so, sure. Like, I'm gonna try to play both sides, because I know there's people who are gonna be absolutely elated that you're doing this. I'm one of them. I think it's absolutely fantastic if we can come to a consensus, especially, you know, these are marshals of major events, marshals of system opens coming together to make these decisions that are going to be used in the highest level of play. It would make sense for people who are running these hyperspace trials and smaller store tournaments to go ahead and just follow suit, because that's how you're preparing for, you know, for the major events. But I'm gonna kind of look at both sides here and ask a couple questions here. So, how are you guys gonna actually come to decisions when there is something controversial, or that there's disagreement between the people in the group?
So we've we've put together our own like charter that we all discuss is like, how do we want this group to run? And as part of it, we started with a core idea of we're going to keep all of our arguments and discussions as civil as possible. We don't want anything getting out of hand or like, you know, when you go onto the forums and you see people arguing about rules, it just dissolves into insanity.
No, you're dumb. No, I'm dumb.
Right. So we're trying to avoid that, and right now we're just having like general discussion, and we'll take, you know, people want to discuss one thing, and we create like a little Discord channel, and we just sit there and chat about that. And once we kind of come to an understanding of here's what makes sense and here's what's going to work for people, we try to word that into some sort of legalese that we can, you know, put into some sort of official document. And we haven't gotten to any of these, but we're hoping to do like a voting kind of system, and we don't want to put anything in there unless some majority of the people involved agree with it. Now we know that not everybody is going to agree, but we want to make sure that most people do. And we're trying right now to see if we can get it as like 2/3 of the people in the group need to agree on this.
Okay.
So hopefully, you know, that this isn't just going to be, you know, a few people muscling everybody else into it, but everybody, you know, coming to an understanding and, you know, hopefully doing what's best for the community. I'm sure there will be people that disagree, but
of course, I mean that's the nature of human beings. That's their nature.
Right.
So, okay, so that's good to know. You guys are kind of going for a 2/3 majority. That makes sense. Okay, so now, do you guys have any plans for expanding this committee? Have you guys developed a way for maybe somebody to apply if they want to become a part of it? Are you guys pretty happy where you are? Have you talked about expansion? Any thoughts on that or information on that?
Well, where we're at now currently is an expansion. We originally had, you know, it was me, Ian, and Brent, and then we expanded up to I think 7 or 8 people for a while that we would just chit chat about rules and figure out, you know, how we're going to deal with them. Now we're up to 15, and I kind of like where that's sitting. Mm-hmm. I personally would be okay going up to 20, but I don't really want to start dragging people in just for the sake of having numbers.
Right.
So I like where they're at. I know I've already had one person message me really interested in joining. I'm like, well, I'll put you on my list of people who are interested, but right. I'm not guaranteeing anything until like we'd like to get our first rendition of it out, and then we can kind of look at like, okay, is there a chunk of the world we're missing that isn't getting good representation, that disagrees with something we're doing or wants to have input. So geographical location is a big point for me. I know I could probably bring in a dozen people from the Midwest, but you know, right. Then it would just be, you know, all my buddies, and you
exactly.
know, how does everybody benefit from that? Well, so yeah, when we started expanding, I went to Mark Ventham, and I was like, okay, Australia, you guys have a pretty big meta out there. Who are your judges, and you know, what's your opinion on things out there? And he drugged me into that community and had me get to know those guys. So we got a few guys out there. We had already been working with Vince Kingston from out in Europe, so we got some names from him, and got Chris Mitchell in. And then I just started, you know, grabbing people from different system opens, looked at some podcasters that have done judging, because it's always nice to have people who enjoy talking to the public when we're doing these rules, because eventually somebody has to tell the masses.
Right, exactly.
So we're hoping to get those guys on board and hooked enough that they'll tell people. So yeah, that's how we brought everybody in, and we just sat there and talked to them. We're like, okay, like do these people fit with our way of thinking? Not necessarily what we think rules should be, but how we discuss rules and come to an understanding, and not just yelling at each other.
That's always a good thing.
yeah. That was something I was really worried about, getting more people, is that it would dissolve into something like that. But so far it hasn't, and it's been very productive conversations so far. I think we spent like 3 hours today discussing cocked dice and how to deal with that. So yes, we are putting a lot of thought and discussion into a lot of things. So I'm hoping once they get to people, they'll be able to look at this and go, oh, this makes sense. We should play this way until FFG tells us different, because like one of the benefits of us doing this is we can turn around and get something out quick.
Yep.
Now we don't want to go too fast, because that's when mistakes get made. But we can have a pretty quick turnaround time, like 2 weeks, where FFG, who the heck knows when
Correct.
when the next rules reference update's going to come? When are they going to explain to us like how the Han reroll works with a dozen different things? Like, and probably that one you want, you watching right now, they're not going to cover the one you want. But you can send us a message, and hopefully we can put it in and cover all the little details. Because as much as people ask us questions, we can take those and just continuously spell them out. It's like, here's how this card works with this, and this.
Which leads to my next question. So once you guys have the first draft out, how would somebody go about submitting a question or just trying to get a question answered?
Right. So first of all, our first document is probably just going to be a Google Doc that will roll out to judges and TOs of system opens and hyperspace trials and
hyperspace prime super duper nova thingamajig. Yep.
So we're gonna get them out to them, and I'll probably post it to a bunch of places, but it's gonna be hard for it to have like a static location for it to exist. I'm gonna work on making a web page version so it can be something that people can easily know where to get to.
Right.
That's in the works.
Here is something I would like to offer. I like to offer my help in some way, and Gold Squadron Podcast would be more than willing to cover the cost of getting the hosting for that site all set up and get that done for the community. So
that would be awesome.
We got that covered. So if we can get. I know nothing about designing websites, but I can throw money at things. So I got your back. Let's get it done.
All right, awesome. And then if you find my post on one of the major Facebook X-Wing groups, I tried to hit a few of them, and hopefully people will trickle down, share it to their more local groups. So I put out a thing, and there is a link to a Google form that you can go on there, ask your question. We ask people to do a little show your work.
Right.
So go into the rules reference and be like, here's the different things that would apply. Here's where the vagueness is. I don't understand. We don't want this to turn into a thing where people are just asking us, general judge calls that you would get at a
I don't know.
yeah. That's not what we're here for. We're trying to deal with things that don't really have an answer.
Right.
So go on there, send us your question. It asks you to add your email in there. I do that just so if we need like clarifications of what are you talking about, I didn't really understand your question, I can get back to people and ask them that. All of that goes into a nice Excel spreadsheet, Google form thing that I'm going to take and go through and put them into our bigger document where we can have discussion on and see what needs to be put into the document. So we're really hoping that we'll get some good stuff in there that we haven't thought of, and have it be awesome.
All right. I closing question. I gotta ask. How do you perform a talon roll?
Oh, good Lord.
Don't answer the question. I'm just trolling. Don't answer the question. Wait for the document. All right, people?
Right. Oh, I'm sure it'll be in there.
Oh, love it. Well, I think this is awesome. I'm super excited about it. And I know that this is something that would have been helpful since the beginning of like the corner cases have existed always in X-Wing, and the problem with having rulings in a timely manner have always been an issue in X-Wing. And I know not from personal experience, but for people who have played miniatures games outside of X-Wing, that community mods and coming up with some type of community rule sets and things like this is commonplace in other miniatures games. It's just kind of new for us, and I think that it's going to go a long way.
Yeah, this is one of the things that me and Luke we went out to Arctic Con out in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, in Indiana, close to Chicago. Anyways, we were on our way out there, and he was talking about how like Warhammer, they have this kind of thing. You know, Warhammer's huge, and they've got these giant books worth of rules, and still they get these crazy bonkers corner cases that are just never going to get answered by the developer. So they got these groups of community people that get together and go, you know what, we should do it this way. And the great thing about that community, as crazy as we think that community is, when they get rulings from that group, they go, okay, at least we have an answer, and they move forward. Yep. It's like, oh, that's a thing? People get a ruling and they're happy about it? What is this madness?
But it doesn't fit my list. I wanted to do this thing.
Right. But I wanted my broken combo. I wanted quick draw to be able to fire in the end phase after you removed your tokens. Come on, people. Like,
it happens. It happens.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear about the development of that, and as soon as you guys have that released, I'm here. We'll put out the call, let people know. This is where we normally would do our list of the week, but we have no Marcel and no Will, so we're gonna hold off that list till next week.
No, I think you can do it.
Whoa! My Wookiee showed up. My Wookiee.
Yeah. So I guess I got conflicting messages. It turns out that your computer problem got solved.
I solved it. I found the solution. I don't know how long it's gonna work, but it's working now. That's all, that's all
okay.
I know.
Well, that's good. That's good to know.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and this is great. Will, do you have any questions about how long have you been creeping? I don't even know.
No, I wasn't creeping. I was listening intently. Chris had a lot of good things to say.
You have any questions? You caught me totally by surprise. You have any questions or anything to say about all that?
No, I mean it sounds good. I got a curveball for you, Chris.
No looping Chewie on the final table.
Oh, boo!
No.
Why?
I wish. All right, we're about to do something else then.
We were there for that
You're
reality,
a-
weren't we?
You're a monster.
No, I got I had you're speaking of like Chris Allen and all those guys helping out with the rulings and things. Actually, at Crate Cup, I was trying to activate Lando's ability after I flew off the board, so I could boost back onto the board. Does it work, Chris? Does it work?
Lando's ability. I'm guessing you're talking about Rebel Lando.
After you fully execute a blue maneuver, you may a ship at range 0 to 3 may perform an action.
No, because as soon as you stop and you're off the board, it's over.
Okay,
Nothing can happen. I mean,
that's exactly what was ruled. Yeah,
that was something that was dealt with. Who was it? Nate Moore's girlfriend went against somebody who tried to fly dash off the board and then barrel roll back on. like oh, come on, people! Like, I can't believe you even tried to do that.
Well, I was gonna get blocked off the board. I wasn't trying. It was just it was gonna happen.
It just reminds me of that scene in episode 2 or 3 where Anakin and Obi-Wan are looking at each other going, "What happened? We're smarter than this."
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into our list of the week. I did a total fail and forgot to copy the person's name, but I'm sure they'll recognize their list when they see it here. And basically, they were asking, could lists like this be viable in second edition? So we're looking at a basically a Rebel TIE Swarm with some support. So for those of you who are listening at home, we got a in the Rebel TIE Fighter, a Naked Zeb, Sabine, Captain Rex, Ezra Bridger with heightened perception, Hera Syndulla in the attack shuttle and an ion cannon turret equipped, and AP5 in the Sheathipede with Leia Organa sitting at 200 points. Will, take it away.
I just want to point out that I love this list for its pure theme of the Rebels TV show. You get every single character possible, except for Fen Rao. Get all the characters, Fen Rao and Kanan Jarrus, but you can't sneak either one of those in here. And if we're going on pure theme, I love all the pilots. Keep them in there; they fit in there perfectly. I was thinking that you could. Basically, I got two options. I don't like the heightened perception personally on Zeb, or not Zeb, on Ezra. And I think it would work a lot better as elusive on Hera Syndulla. She loves doing red moves, and she's the most expensive ship with the least amount of durability. So it gives her an extra reroll on defense, and then when she's out there doing all those red moves, she can easily recharge that elusive up. And I would still keep the ion cannon turret, because I'm not sure what else you'd do with the 2 points to drop down to dorsal. The only other thing I would say is that if you took that 46 points of Hera and you actually split it into 2 bandits, Z95 bandit squadrons, you can actually get 2 of them and be a full 7-ship swarm as well. But it kind of ruins the theme. So if you're trying to keep all as many specters as you can, I would just go with the elusive.
Alrighty, there you go. So mystery person whose list I chose and forgot to copy your name, I'm super sorry. But there you go. So we had a couple of different suggestions there. One to keep it with your Spectre theme, and one to maybe make it a little bit more competitive. Will, you have to give it a rating. What is this list?
It's certainly not a Porkins. I really like that nobody has to fly together, so you can kind of all come in at all different angles. So, and you have a lot of free actions with that AP5 coordinating. So I would give it a Jar Jar. I'm not sure if the TIE fighters can get up to the Anakin competitive tier, though, unfortunately.
All right, well, there you go. So for our question of the week, this was asked by Stephen Dogood, and he asked, Dr. Afra is yet to be featured in the game despite 000 and BT1. Why do you think this is? How would you like to see her incorporated into the game? Scum? Maybe Empire? Pilot? Crew? Both? What synergy do you think she would have with 000 and BT? So, for myself, if you're not familiar with Dr. Afra, she is part of the comic book series. She actually has her own comic book. She's also part of the Darth Vader comic book series. And she is essentially a Star Wars archaeologist. But she's kind of out for herself. She ends up working for Darth Vader at one point, and 000 and BT1 are essentially her droids, but they're her droids that kind of want to kill her the whole time, but don't, because she has them just controlled enough for that not to happen. But she goes on these adventures, and her ship name, I'm missing it off the top of my head. Let me go ahead and look it up, unless either of you gentlemen know it off the top of your head.
No, this is the first time hearing about this, and it sounds hilarious.
So
like, is this actually like a really good comic series? Do I need to look into this?
Yeah, man. Like it's really good. The name of her ship is the Archangel. Okay. Let me see if I could very quickly get this onto the screen for those of you who are watching at home. Just give me 1 second. As long as I don't break anything. So give me a moment. If I take this and put it here.
Oh, that's pretty.
Here we go. So for those watching at home, so there's a picture of the Archangel. It's a really, really cool looking ship. So it says
so it's kind of like sitting on like the edge of a cliff right there.
Yeah. So it hangs over. It kind of has like a tail, essentially. It looks.
And I
like
imagine when it starts flying, that thing kind of comes up, or is it like an inverted looking fire spray kind of?
It's kind of thing? Yes, that one.
Huh.
That one. So it says here, the Archangel was a starship that belonged to Afra, a rogue archaeologist. Afra described the Archangel as a heavy-duty lifter. The ship was destroyed in the Battle of Vorgos Voss, but was rebuilt later on. So there's some more information here about it. Looks like it can hold quite a bit of crew in there. And when I look at it, I immediately say large base ship. And I would say that maybe the reason we don't have it yet is the fact that Scum has a ton of large base ships already. So this might be something that we end up getting later. I would expect to maybe see a crew card of her before we end up seeing her as a pilot. As for what her ability would be, I would say that she'd probably get something charge-based that let you, if you want to stick with the theme of archaeology, she's trying to dig up the past. Maybe something that lets you go back and get something. Maybe some type of regen ability, or like getting transfer a charge from Dr. Afra onto one of your one card that you have that has a charge on it or something like that. That's a little bit themey there. But yes, I would love to see her in the game, and I am almost certain that she's on the list of to-dos for FFG. That's my 2 cents. Gentlemen, I don't know if you guys are familiar enough to talk about it. If you want to, this is your chance.
I'm not at all familiar with it, but like the idea of 000 and BT1, I looked into them a little bit with when they came out, and like it's a really fascinating like idea of these just completely homicidal droids. So it's like, it sounds like just in a completely different trajectory than like, you know, standard Star Wars would go. So I found that kind of fascinating, but I never really delved too deep into where it went. And this ship is like a really beautiful looking ship.
Yeah, it's a really pretty paint scheme.
Yeah, I would love to see this, you know, in a model. I'm kind of skeptical just based on, you know, where it would fit in things. But man, that's pretty.
I'm trying to find the comic book that I have that has a really, really cool shot of it. I know those of you who are listening. My Kylo helmet caught it.
Somebody said it's part of the Vader series.
Yeah, here you go. I think this one has the picture I'm looking for. So that's Dr. Aphra right there on the cover. And you see 000 and BT-1 there and Vader. I'm trying to find the shot where you see her ship just looking super cool. So you see a shot of it.
Is that the whole comic series right there?
This. So there was like an older comic series, and they've updated it since. Like there's like a new year of it. But there's a shot of the ship right here where you actually see that part that's hanging down, the tail, let's call it, that's up. Like it's flat with the rest of the ship. Right there. Let's see if I can look at how this fits in the frame. See it right there.
Okay.
The tail of it is flat with the rest of the ship. So it's kind of like a reverse.
Well, sure, there's something hanging down there.
Like a reverse Stingray, but yeah. Then there's also that you can see that, like you said, Chico. I'll put my finger on where it is. There's something, the other side of the ship hanging there. Like it's a really cool design. It's pretty, like you said. But yeah, BT-1 and 000 are absolutely phenomenal. Like they're as crazy as you might think they are. And if you haven't read the Vader series, you're missing out. You should do that.
You should bring one of those to Ohio, and then I'll bring it back to you at Adepticon.
I won't be in Ohio, unfortunately.
Oh, you're not gonna.
Yep.
Now I'm sad.
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe we'll do Gold Squadron reading corner, and I'll read them. I'll make videos of me reading them.
Awesome.
I'll do the different voices and everything.
I am on board for that.
Alrighty. And lastly, Will, by any chance, have you taken the time to look through our submissions for the Skippy the Upgrade card contest?
Not thoroughly, though. I saw the first couple submissions. Very interesting. Everybody seems to be doing like self-damaging things, which I think is very funny.
Mm-hmm. So I picked out my top 5, the 5 that I liked the most. And Will, I will say that I did like yours, but as you are on the cast, you kind of got disqualified.
I know. I was doing it for fun, man. I can come up with a fun idea.
This is very true. You're allowed to have fun. I'm slightly scared. Sometimes these shells fall down. Hopefully nothing falls down. Okay, there we go. So the 5, what do I want to say? The semifinalists? Okay. So the semifinalists are, I'm going to say their names first. You got Ross. These are their Discord names. Ross, Jude Allen, Duke of Hobbies, OPS Mason Last, and John Ben Young. Those 5 are probably my favorite ones. Now, there's little tweaks that I would make to each of these if we actually printed them, because there's some like Chico, maybe when it's time, I'll send them to you. But some rules context where it's like, all right, I understand what you're trying to say, but you need to make sure you use this wording for it to make sense. What's
so it's not enough to figure out the real rules. I have to evaluate your made-up rules too.
Correct. Yeah, this is our Funzy card. This is Skippy, the official droid of Gold Squadron podcast. Have to.
Okay.
So congratulations to those 5. I'm gonna try to very quickly get through these and read what they do. We'll kind of switch off here. I'll start with Ross. He wanted the card to be called R5D4 because it is an R5 unit. Skippy is an R5 unit, and it says spend 1 charge to perform a barrel roll. If you do, R5D4's motivator has been blown. Flip this card. And then the other side is Skippy the Force Ghost, +1 force charge reoccurring. There it goes. Can you go ahead and do the next one, Will?
Yes, the next one's, how did you pronounce that? Jude Allen?
Jude Allen,
Yep.
yeah.
His card, the front of it says setup. Start with this card face up. When you would receive critical damage, you may instead put it on this card instead and flip this card. And then that would kill off the old Skippy. And so on the back, it would give you 1 recurring force charge.
Chris,
you can go ahead and take the next one.
Yeah, sure. So Skippy the Jedi droid. 1 recurring force charge and 1 non-recurring charge. It's interesting. If a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 would be dealt exactly 1 damage card equal to its hull value, spend 1 force and 1 charge from this card to discard the damage. If there is no charge on this card, you may not use the force charge from this card. Oh, so there's a recurring force charge and a regular charge.
It took me a couple times reading through this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
To understand what he wants, and I think there's probably a simpler way to say it. But basically, you have your force charge as long as Skippy's not blown up. I think that's kind of what he's going for there. And you get to like
I think it'd have to be worded like as long as the non-recurring charge is active, you may recover 1 force charge per round. Because that way, once you just spend that recovering charge, it would no longer give you force again, which I think is the intention of the card is trying to do.
Yeah. Plus that like healing. Like it kind of, for those of you who played first edition, it's integrated astromech plus Skippy is what it is. Yeah. All right. Then the next one, Opes Mason Last says setup, equip this side face up. As an action, assign 1 force token to your ship, even if you would exceed your normal limit of force tokens, and then flip this card. Side 2 adds a red calculate token. Just because you blew your motivator doesn't mean you aren't good for something. Skippy. And our last entry here comes from John Ben Young. Go ahead and take that one.
This is setup. Equip this card face up. While defending, if you are not shielded, you may flip this card to cancel 1 hit. Adds calculate. After you complete a speed 1 or 2 maneuver, you may perform a calculate action. And then once you are no longer shielded, you become Skippy the Force Ghost, getting 1 force charge recurring for that, and it turns your calculate into a red calculate.
There you go.
Now there's something with this that I don't know if he thought of that makes this card super powerful and would probably just skyrocket in points is after you complete a speed 1 or 2 maneuver, which is a lot of maneuvers, you may perform a calculate action and then probably link off of it or something. So getting like additional actions that I'm sure will pop up. So when you're giving free actions, you have to be super careful. Now it's a lot easier to not worry about it in 2nd edition, where you have specific linking off of things. It's fairly rare to have like a true push the limit style thing. But I know in 1st edition, anytime you said the word action, you're like, oh, how many can I do now?
Yep.
Like,
Yep. And of course, this is for anybody who's listening. This is just for funsies. It's a pretend card. You can play it in casual if your opponent agrees to it, just for funsies. We'd also, when we release this, I'm also gonna just put like Skippy the Force Droid, you know, and some generic flavor text, and it does nothing, right? Like it's just for funsies, so you can carry it around. But I thought it'd be fun to have an official unofficial Skippy slash R5D4 slash whatever you want to call him ability. So excited about that. So before we close out today, Chris and Will, do you guys have any shout outs or things you'd like to put on the floor?
I got a bunch of shout outs. Sorry, I missed the section on the top 50 and Crate Cup, but I got to give a huge shout out to our team. We were we were officially a funny YouTube link, but it took you to the song. It's Men at Work Down Under. Chris, how's this? Do you know the song I'm talking about?
Of course, I know this song. It's a wonderful song.
Yes, it's one of my personal favorites. We had Marcus from Australia. My team was I don't even know, just randomly formed together through the internet. But we had Marcus, who I met at Worlds, Sam, who was the runner-up of the Gold Squadron Classic, and Andrew Twa from California as well. So pretty diverse team, but we were able to come together through like Discord, kind of talking about different lists, figuring out, who would run each faction or so. And surprisingly, we did very well. And we had to OCX Aces team swept us in the third round and threw down the gauntlet that we had to go. We would have to sweep our next two teams and to get into the cut, and we pulled it off. All four of us got our last two games as wins and got into the cut. Beat out runner-up Twa. Beat him in Super Smash Brothers, of all things. I don't even know if you explained that, or if it sounds like I'm talking gibberish now.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So if you So I'm working on uploading all of the videos from first the Top 50 Invitational and then Crate Cup. One of the videos that you'll see in there is going to be the top 8 tiebreaker. And this tiebreaker literally was people playing Super Smash Brothers. Now, if you're not familiar with the Carolina Crates at all, just if their cast is definitely more what's the word I'm looking for? It's not family friendly. Let me put it that way. It's not family friendly. But one of their kind of shticks is the like everything is a meme. Everything is silly and funny, and they love their X-wing, but they like to kind of take it over the top. And they decided that for a tiebreaker, rather than it be MOV or anything like that, they're like, no, you're gonna play Super Smash Brothers for the tiebreaker. And it was pretty funny. I got that recorded, and so that will be available to watch on YouTube here in the coming weeks.
Super not biased to anything they enjoy and do well at.
Yeah. If I remember right, Sarah got that same OCX Aces team into the it wasn't top 8, but it was it top 8?
It was.
That's not what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Are they?
That's right, because they all had 13 wins.
Yeah, it was
That's
to determine who was in the top 8, but the cut was only top 4.
That's right, because there was 2 teams of 6, or excuse me, like 2 fights with 3 players in them, and so I just remember that Sarah won that one, and then we had to. The one Twa played in was to determine who had to play the White Walkers first round of the cut.
Yep.
So, but he pulled that one off, and we all got through the semifinal rounds. We did not perform so good against the White Walkers. Turns out that's a powerhouse team of apparently unmatched proportions in the Crate Cups. But Yeah, we still came in as finalist for the last day. We had to play it the Sunday morning because it was getting pretty late after 5 rounds of the team matchup. But yeah, we had we just gave all of our prizes to Marcus because he traveled all the way from Australia to be to play at Crate Cup. So we were just giving him everything we won. He ended up getting the official Minoc runner-up bridesmaids trophy.
That is an amazing trophy.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go look for it.
yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, Marcus was playing for Ryan Farmer in the top 50, and I think he still went 2-1, but didn't make cut or didn't get past the first round in the cut. So it was the crate cut was definitely, and I didn't perform very well in the top 50 either. I ended up losing 2 games to the number 1 seat, Josh Holt, and then 7 is Mark Grauberg.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his last name?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's lucky that I remember that. So we had a pretty tough fight. I didn't do so well in it. So being able to get that redemption in the team game was really exciting. And I see why you guys love Outrider Cup so much. We were having a blast.
I'm telling you, team tournaments are super fun. They're super fun, and they change the way that you think about approaching the game. It's great. I love it.
It was I was basically forced to face all the Rebel Beef lists, and I pulled it off somehow. Against 5 Y-Wings, I did a total of 46 damage to them with my 3-ship build. I was flying the same thing you were, the Lando Aces.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely loved it. Chico, any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, my shout outs just go out to all the guys who are joining me on this damn fool crusade with this rules committee. I am really nervous about how it's going to go, but I've got a lot of good reactions from the community, so I got high hopes. Thanks, everybody.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that so you don't miss any of those games. There's a ton of games. There was 3, 5 plus. There was a lot. There's like quite a few. 2 of them are already up, ready to go. A couple more will drop tomorrow, plus the podcast, assuming I get it all edited and ready to go. But thank you, everybody who did watch the stream. We had a ton of support, absolutely ton of support from people. I set up a sub goal and people just kept knocking it down. Thanks to people like ISOFan. Okay, ISOFan is number 1. All right, just being like, oh, you're cute goal you got there. Crush it. Unlock that reward. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to make it bigger. Crush it. I mean, I don't mind because he was helping out the channel and getting everybody in the chat like gumboats. I mean, he must have given away something like 40 or more subs. I got to go count them and actually see how many it was, but it was quite a bit. Him and then also Chewbacca also was dropping it on people. I mean, it was a ton of fun. We gave away a bunch of prizes. I want to remind you, if you want a prize, you got to email me with your address fully formatted. There are already 3 people who I had mercy on. I was feeling nice, and I was going to delete their emails. And I said, no, don't delete their emails. Just ask for their address, fully formatted, and let's go. But when it gets crunch time, which crunch time is around the corner because I got a bunch of events coming up, plus I got my daughter's birthday and all this, and I'm going to be trying to cycle through all these things. You got to follow the rules. Also, you only got 30 days to get me that information. Otherwise, the prizes go into the cycle for the next event. So don't miss out. Get your stuff. Get your stuff. If you haven't followed us on Twitch, hit the button. It's super easy. Don't forget to hit that Twitch Prime button every 30 days or wait for one of our live casts, which we do all the time. Like literally, we have been casting every single day straight since geez Louise. It's been like every day since forever. We casted Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday. Since last Tuesday. No, since
Yeah, yeah,
since last Monday.
Since you were in Canada, we haven't.
Right? Because Luke was on Monday. All right, right. So we had Paintcast Monday, episode 98, League Night, Paintcast. Top 50 Invitational was Friday. Saturday was Craig Cup. Sunday was Craig Cup Final. Monday was the Paintcast. Today is episode 99. Tomorrow we'll have the League Night. Thursday we'll have the Paintcast. And I think finally on Friday we get a little bit of a break. But Gold Squadron Podcast, we're there for you, getting you that content. So if you want to help us out, hit that Twitch Prime button. It'd be super appreciated. It's very easy to do. If you don't know how to do it, hit me up. I'll show you how to get it done if you have an Amazon Prime. And also, don't forget that you can join our Discord community. Anybody's invited. You don't have to be a patron, but if you are a patron, you do get access to specific rooms, and it's a little easier to get a hold of us. But we do have an awesome community there in Discord. As long as you follow the rules, keep it wholesome, keep it fun, we're having a great time there on the Gold Squadron Podcast Discord channel. And lastly, and most importantly, if you want to support the channel while getting awesome swag like the stuff in this box, let me go ahead and grab. Oh gosh. Okay, so show off some of the things I got here. So I got here. Oh, that looks so good. So here, I know it's for far away, but I can't get close to the camera. Okay, we got the pose. Okay, the paper pose. Well, not paper. They're printed on plastic. We got those, and then we got some Black One titles. We got oh my god, this came out so good. You got the ink Darth Maul, the ink drawing Darth Maul. Oh, it looks so good. Can't wait to get the original of that on my Quick Tip Studio wall. That's gonna be super, super good. We got the backdrafts, and there's a whole nother box with even more stuff in here. So don't miss out. Get your things. There it is, right there. It's buried under more things. Don't miss out. Get your things, and patrons are super excited to send that out. Thank you everybody for watching. My name's Dion Morales for Chris and Will. Gold Squadron out.